So on behalf of PMI Pune chapter, I welcome you all for this joining today and for being part of this journey. We are here to hear from our incredible and knowledgeable speaker, Sanjukta Kundu, who would help us understand how to do effective project governance with change management. Before we move to next slide, I would request everybody, please be on mute if you are not speaking, so that we do not hear like no any background noises or so. In case you have any questions, comments, you can use the chat. I would be like no very happy if you could provide your reactions by using the reactions as well. So let's dig down. Let's start with quick look at the agenda, and we will walk you through first of all about this PMI Women's Engagement Initiatives. We will meet the core team of the volunteers, followed by our enriching session today by Sanjukta, effective project governance with change management. We also have a, can you please be on mute, Ritesh? And everybody else, if you have not done that already, please be on mute if you are not speaking. Thank you. So we will also have a session where we would be hearing the experience from our speaker, Seema, how she embraced equity, and we will then move on to the chapter announcements. Please feel free to share your thoughts, comments anywhere during the session using the chat. If you would want to maybe speak, I would request you to maybe raise your hand and let us know that you would want to do that. All right, so let's dive into our first topic today. So what is this women's empowerment initiative as a EMI chapter? As you all know, women across the globe are still underrepresented at every level, maybe decision making or any other things. So this is a disparity, like no, it is persisting for various reasons. So empower women in project management. This is ongoing initiative of all the PMI South Asia chapters, which include three countries: Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and India. So this is a collaboration, and all the chapters in these countries they are doing this for women, betterment of women. And what is the main focus of this committee? It is to understand the challenges faced by women members in project management and also empower them by promoting a culture of inclusion and engagement by providing a platform to combine their knowledge, expertise, experience, and build value by sharing with fellow members. So that is this PMI Women Engagement Committee all about. Here's a look at the committee members of Empowered Women in Project Management Initiative. These are South Asia chapter leaders. You may recognize here Sangeeta Kanse, who is our board member. She is part of this Region 11 South Asia core team. And apart from her, there are leaders from all over, all these three countries chapters. And here comes our PMI Pune's core team. Featured here is core committee, all these familiar faces, which includes me as well. We have Dipti, Anuradha, Kirti, Sangeeta. These all volunteers are actively leading and contributing to PMI Pune chapter. These are active board members and they lead various portfolios. If you are interested to maybe knowing what portfolios or how you can also contribute to their portfolios, you can reach out to them directly. Apart from that, we have more volunteers in the PWL team because we are definitely an ongoing committee and it's ever growing as always. So we have Rupali, Archana, Kaustubh, Jaydeep, Pooja, Rajnigandha, Dr. Meenal, and Ritika. I thank all of these people and everybody for their continued support. I would like to now introduce our speaker for today. Sanjukta is an industry veteran with over 23 years of experience. Governance and risk management specialist, she is the transformation and change enabler, a mentor and distinguished Toastmaster, a fiercely dog lover who is a avid traveler and love visiting places, knowing people and their culture. She is passionate about driving. That said, let's not keep waiting, everybody. I would request Sanjukta to dive into our topic for today. Over to you, Sanjukta.
Thank you, Priyanka. Good morning, everyone. When I'm giving a session or when I'm having a session where we are supposed to share knowledge, I prefer seeing faces. So I would love to have faces for the session. I know if you have the bandwidth challenge, then of course you can stay without video, but I would love to see faces to see how you react when I share my experiences. With that, I will share my screen. Do confirm, any one of you, that my screen can be seen. Good. Thanks, Priyanka. And thanks, Amaya, for at least staying on video. I can see others also coming up. Thank you so much. So, this particular session is about a rendezvous that we will have with change. Now, here's where I really want to see your reactions. When somebody says that this is going to change, the first feeling that you have, oh no, another change. What will I do now? But when it comes to your professional life, no matter what, even if you are a doctor, even if you are a teacher, you have to be used to changes. During COVID, schools had to go online. Huge change. For the teachers, if they said, oh no, not again, that wouldn't work, right? So, the best way to manage change, according to me, is what I'm going to share here. And yes, when I say project governance, it is just not an IT project or a civil engineering project or a production project. Anything you do is a project, is a program for you. You walking your new pet dog is also a new project for you. You have to make changes. You have to do things. You have to change your morning routine to start walking the dog, right? So, change management and project governance should be imbibed within you. Let's see how we do it in a very easy manner. So, we'll start with the basics. How do we define change? What is change? It's just an act or process through which some things become different. Now, then, how do you familiarize with change? You familiarize with change when you are first aware of it and accepting it. What does that mean? You know the origin of it, or you are aware that something might change. You stay alert that something might change. You going for a good vacation, or you are already on a long vacation in this long weekend. You are aware that the timing of the train might change, or you might be stuck in traffic if you're taking a long drive. That is understanding the origin of the change, which is important as to how and when the change will happen. And this also will help you govern or manage the change. Scope of change, easy. What, where, how, who, and when. The new pet comes in, a who has changed. A when is also changing. You have to get up in the morning and walk that pet or feed it twice. So you have to prepare your routine according to that. So, what, where, how, who, when. Mapping these few things will help you understand the scope of the change. Also, something else, the life cycle of the change. Now, during the winter, we wear warm clothing. That's a periodic short term change. However, when you think of the pollution in Delhi now, it is a long term change now. It's a periodic long term change. So people there have to get used to it. So understanding how long the effect of that change is going to stay is also important for us to start preparing, right? Make sense? A thumbs up would do. Next, we come to managing the change. Of course, the best, most idealistic way is you know everything, and so you do a proactive management. But in the realistic world, we also have to be prepared for reactive change. And to be able to do management reactively on this change is where we have the support of the project governance framework, which I will be sharing soon. So at the end of it, change, it is an authentic risk that becomes an opportunity and vehicle of acceptable outcome only if you acknowledge, cultivate, and hence manage it. So remember, change is a risk which definitely will go into an opportunity. And to live life, you should be a perfect risk manager. You should be able to mitigate the risk or have a contingency plan for the risk once it becomes an occurrence. Now, change can be resource triggered. You have a project, and one of your resources has to go on his or her marriage leave. That's a resource triggered change. Resource triggered. During COVID, we couldn't buy outside food. We had to make everything inside. We had to survive on Maggie. Resource triggered. Environment, domain, region triggered. Environment, I just now gave the example. The pollution level in Delhi. Domain related changes. Manufacturing industry has suddenly gone on to digitalization. You have to know about digital twins, how that helps in quality of the production floor, so on and so forth. Region triggered. You have a lot of bans in various states of the world or countries of the world for various reasons. If you're traveling to the Middle East, you have to have a certain attire that you have to wear always, right? It's a region triggered change for you. Technology and process triggered. I don't think I have to explain this. We are seeing around. We used to use dialed phones, now we use smartphones, which does everything, I think. The last but not the least, a change is also triggered by a problem. To mitigate the problem, we have to change certain things. It also is triggered by innovation, which is just the opposite of problem. Innovation is something which is an idea that helps us improve, and hence evolution triggered, right? Two change scenarios I have discussed. One is, as I said, you have a pet, new pet, you have to change your way of living. You have to change your routines in daily life. You have to change your cost and budget because you have to start having food for that new pet. That's also a cost. So you have to realize. So that whole management is one change. That's change in your life. And the easier aspect is change in your work profession where you're doing a project and there are various things that might change, various resources that might change. The requests of the requested result or the deliverable might change. The people working in the project might change. The people who are governing with you, the leadership in your project might change. The leadership towards customer might change. The customer might change, and so on and so forth. So these are the two scenarios that I will pick up now as we go ahead. Yes, as I said, our most important aspect in today's discussion or my sharing my knowledge is on how to manage change. This particular picture is something that you will find on the internet also. And there is a good write up to make you understand this whole framework. My idea here is to just tweak your intuitive minds to start looking at change management within this broader rectangle of aspects. So what is change management? Change management is derived or is consisting of these aspects. First one, guidance. If you're not aware of the change, how will you fix it? Right? Or how will you manage it? Right? Second one, solution. You have to know that what is the expected solution. Yes, change has happened. It has happened. Fine. Why is it happening? Or what is the solution that will help me mitigate this change? What is that I have to do? Vision. Okay, I am doing this thing now. What can happen? What if? The what if question is your vision. So once you know the what ifs, you have a vision. You can tell someone, hey, we have in a project management, suppose it's a 6 months project or a 8 months project. You can tell that, during October and November, there will be festival holidays. So let's manage that change. That's the vision that you should have. That's how you will recognize a change that's coming a little ahead. So that's how you're segregating the periodicity of the change. It's a temporary change, but still you have to act on it because it's changing your resources, your stakeholders, right? Teamwork. You are not God. And first of all, God is probably a collection of a lot of energies and a lot of gods. So everything is teamwork. Please don't make yourself only responsible for the whole thing. Use expertise of others. All of us have certain core things and be aware. Everybody should be aware so that you'll go together, right? Only when every one of us got aligned to what the pandemic is and what causes the pandemic to spread, that is when we were able to curb it, right? By staying back home. So that means teamwork is required. You wearing masks and wearing gloves did not help. Everybody had to do that. So that means everyone also has to have an effective communication. Center fresh. पूछ के तो देखो. Then दोबारा पूछना मत comes. But पूछ के तो देखो is important. So information is important. And we will discuss as to how much information is important. Okay. But communication is the key. I am sorry, I have viral fever, hence I will be out. I cannot work for the next 5 days. But communication is very important even to the customer that, hey, by the way, one of our resources is unable to contribute because he or she is away on sick leave. That communication is important for change management. Coming back to the direction, the
बस
change is happening.
टच नहीं होते connect नहीं होते
Okay, I'll just mute Manoj there. Thank you. Direction of the change is important. It is only when the direction is aligned towards your outcome will you be able to use the change, which is a risk, as an opportunity. It is on you to mitigate the change in such a way that it aligns to your direction. And that will only happen when you understand the change better, or your team, as a team, you understand the change better. Right? Strategy. Once you understand, once you have the vision, once you know where you have to go, your strategy becomes easy to attain. Strategy is always taken as a very far-fetched word. Strategy is only done by CXOs. No. When you have a new pet, you have your strategy of pet owning or having a new member in the family. You are the strategist then. So don't think that out of these only 5 aspects is what I have to bother about. Or being a CXO, my team will bother about everything. I will only bother about strategy. No, you have to understand each and every aspect of change. Right? Last but not the least, I will not speak about this. We all know what it means. If you don't have a goal, you'll not give the required efforts to manage it. if your goal is different. So my goal is to have a successful knowledge sharing with you all now. So hence, I am doing certain things after seeing the faces that I see, or after changing if my volume goes down or something like that. That's the change I am prepared to take. What if my screen share stops? What should be done? So on and so forth. But if I was here, that I'll just do the project presentation myself, and I'm not bothered as to whether you all can hear or not, I would just go on. And I would not even look at you all working like that. So the goal is different. I'm not disrespecting. Maybe when I'm preparing for this project, when I was preparing for this presentation, I gave it myself. So I did it in a different way. That was my goal then. So goal is important to steer all these aspects, right? Now, we know what change management is, but we all know something more important. We all have aligned ourselves on project governance. And change management is a subset or is a part of project governance. Now, project governance is defined as the infrastructure dealing with responsibility and accountability that surrounds your project or program. It's a framework for making decisions regarding the project to sustain the project. Now, how do we do that? Project management framework, if you ask me, it's like a fraternity. It's like a tall building. And a building always has supporting pillars, right? So the first pillar of project governance is the structure. The second pillar is the people during a project governance, or as we say, project management or program management or delivery management. And the third one is information. Give me a second. I'm trying to do away with this. Yeah. So now, when we go to the structure pillar of it, what does that mean? Structure means you have a project plan. You are prepared with the project chapter. You have the statement of work. You understand what is the design expected, what are the deliverables, or what are the kits of deliverables expected by the customer. You have a detailed design document. It gives a structure as to what you need to do, how you need to do, and why you need to do. So structure is very important. Yes, it will be the first baseline version of it. As a change manager, what you need to do? You need to take it for granted that change is the only thing that is going to be constant. So you have to take it for granted that your design document might change. Your project plan will change. Your project charter also can change. Why? Because of the other two pillars. If the pillar, one of the pillars gets a crack, then the others also are in risk, right? If the other pillar is a little taller than the others, then you have to also make the other two pillars tall so that you don't get a leaning tower of Pisa, but you have a proper structured building, right? So similarly, now the second pillar is people. And that is nothing but stakeholders. It's one of the most important aspects of any enterprise, any project, any experience you have. What do you mean by stakeholders is a definition that you have to make. A stakeholder can be the person who has requested. A stakeholder is the team who's going to help you. A stakeholder are the affected people who will be affected when this project is ongoing or when you're doing something. Stakeholders are also the supporting teams. You are going on a vacation. So your travel planner is also your stakeholder. Your air ticket agency is your stakeholder. IRCTC is your stakeholder, right? Even the passengers you're traveling with is your stakeholder. Yes. In the professional world, analysts or people who come to your website, company's website, to do some quick reviews, which you're not aware of. They are also your stakeholders. So you have to make sure that you advertise your work expertise in such a way that when that analysis happens, they find what they want. So that's also stakeholder management. Your project sponsors, your internal reviewers, internal leadership, when you do weekly reviews, quarterly reviews, customer stakeholders, and support functions. You all can see my project presentation now, right? Sorry for that.
Yes.
This is also change management. So what happened was my battery was draining and hence it went to the other thing. So this is also change management. Going back, so stakeholders, people pillar is important. Be ready for it. Eyes, ears open. Even if you're an introvert, stay extrovert. See who should be aware of what we are doing. Yes. The last and not the least, it is part of the foundation, the information pillar. I personally fear a little bit of documentation initially, but now I love documentation because if I document something over an email, even though I have had a nice chat with my customer, the minutes of the meeting save a lot of time later when there are discussions. Okay, why was this done? I can get back to that email saying that, hey, we had discussed, remember, this is the minutes that says that you had requested for this, and hence we had done that. So, documentation is important. Effective documentation is what we should be prepared for. Not documenting everything, document what is relevant, which is relevant to do communication, which is relevant to do stakeholder management, which is relevant to analyze your own productivity, your own work, or the quality of work. That's the project reporting, right? So, hence, reporting is important. Your stakeholders should know where they have to come and help you. So, if you don't report your day to day status or your status of the program, they will not know. So reporting is also key. Communication matrix. Now, many a times, many customers say, hey, I want to have this meeting tomorrow. I want to have that meeting tomorrow, right? We all face that issue. Every project manager's life, 60% time sometimes goes on to meetings. And about 40% of them are random meetings. Only when you have not agreed to the communication matrix. Where would you agree with the communication matrix? During the project kickoff meeting. That, hey, this is the meetings that we should have. Let me know if you need something. These are the meetings. These would be the stakeholders, the facilitators, and this would be the agenda that we would discuss. Prepare that. Even then, they might ask for one or two. Try to see if that can be covered within those things. So, how effectively you manage this change of communication during your initial phase is what helps us. And again, we cannot do it in the first go. We keep on changing the communication matrix based on the change of request. Right? Last but not the least, which we often don't take into our consideration, auditing and ROI. What is auditing? Audit, whenever somebody says audit, half of us get very jittery. But audit is the only thing where without asking, you are going to get help. Because somebody else is coming in and telling you what to do, right? Or how to think right. I'll give you a very simple example, not office example. You renovate your homes. We have an interior designer who you appoint to renovate your home. What is the interior designer coming and doing initially? He or she is auditing your house to see what needs to be corrected. And then he or she gives you a budget and you go ahead and do those changes. That's auditing. And what is ROI? You yourself audit. You have delivered something, you go back and see how things are moving. That's an assurance that you get. My ROI is good, what I gave. That means what I'm doing is correct. And that in project, how do you get? Customer satisfaction surveys. Make sense? So don't take these actions as something that you're forced to do. Take them as the tools that helps you achieve. Governance will help you only when you take it as your best friend. And all the tools in these pillars should be taken as your only friends in need during a project governance. Right? So, well defined governance makes project execution and change management into an autopilot mode. Right? Think of it. Again, I'm not saying this out of a kind of preaching or where I have learned. No, I'm sharing it from experience. Initially, whenever I started a project 10 years back, when I used to get these metrics report to be given, I used to only give the data for the sake of giving the data. But then I realized that, hey, when I'm giving this data, I'm actually going and reviewing the health of my project. So that means the governance wheel or the governance track is only helping me become more confident in what I am delivering. That mindset is most important for our project managers and program managers or delivery managers and anyone who is managing anything or life itself. The whole aspect. When you start a project, that is also change management. It's a new project that you're doing, so it's a change that you are managing. But that's a change that you are aware of or you're given that this is the change happening, so you're ready for it. It's a proactive way of managing a change. And reactive is a resource going on a long leave. Customer stakeholder is changing. Customer comes and says, we are being acquired by a different company, so we have to put this project on hold. That risk or that change also has to be managed. So don't have closed eyes that that can never happen. No, anything can happen. So be prepared for it. Now, here's what I have shared. I'm going to share next is a list of certain activities that a project manager might have to do. This has been prepared after a lot of experience, and this is a good practice within the team that I work now, and we have collated this. And I'm sure this is applicable to all walks of life. Anyone who's a project manager, who's doing any kind of project management. Some of them may be not so relevant, but most of them are. So these 7 pillars are the work that we as delivery managers, project managers, program managers, or anyone who is doing the governance of a program have to think of. The first pillar is about program know-how, right? Now you have to know what you're doing, why you're doing, how you have to do. So statement of work or the actual contract that you have signed with the requesting party is important. In case you're developing something for your own organization, what has the internal stakeholders actually said? The project duration, when is the product going to be launched, who are the relevant users of the product, so on and so forth. So knowing the design of the design document is important. Prepare yourself the project plan. Keep the first baseline of the project plan before the kickoff meeting so that all your stakeholders know that this is what you perceive as the plan and they agree to it. Keep a change request register from the beginning. Many a times, your requester may not acknowledge the change and you may not get the required resources. For example, extra revenue, extra resource. So at least make a record that this is a change I have acknowledged. It's a risk and we have acknowledged it. Share it with them because any change is actually a risk, which is nothing but an opportunity. A direct opportunity is when you are able to get the customer to acknowledge a CR and give you a CR revenue for that. But even if he doesn't or she doesn't acknowledge, you at least can share it at the end of a project review and say that, hey, this is like a value add we have given to you. So that is where you're getting an opportunity, right? Review the stakeholder mapping. So have this, whatever is in the project charter, whatever is the stakeholder mapping, keep reviewing it yourself. This is a project manager's work. Okay. Here you don't need a team member because this is something you have to do. Yeah. It's like a school teacher preparing the lesson plan. The lesson plan needs to change. It's like a doctor preparing his or her OPD plan. Suddenly an emergency comes. He or she has to manage that. So then review your appointments earlier. Execute, review, and update communication plan. So this is, now these are not the only things that we do, but we thought these are one of the key things that we need to do, and hence it has been put here. You can, of course, have many more bullet points in any of these. Next is reporting and communication. Reporting can become overwhelming only when we don't do it effectively. But as I said, communication is the key. It's to be done, irrespective of what. So then we should do reporting in an effective manner, in a productive manner, which means try create templates which are generic, the reporting template, so that the only change that happens when your stakeholders change. So, for example, your team is one state of stakeholder. The other set is your customer stakeholders. The other set is your internal stakeholders. The other set is your department stakeholders. Have a similar generic template where the data view only changes. Smart way of reporting, but definitely do the report. And again, make sure you've planned these reporting in your communication plan. What has to be weekly reviewed? What is the weekly review? Who should be there? Monthly review, quarterly review. Plan and schedule them also, because your stakeholders are not directly dealing with you. They might be doing something else on the time you want them to come for a meeting. So plan the meetings. Most importantly, I wanted to share any project program, have a kickoff meeting. Yes, in the kickoff meeting, it's not just the customer who should be there, or not just the requesters who should be there. You should include all your stakeholders. Your team also should know what is the statement of work, what is the design that is expected. Your team should be there. Your supporting functions. Now, you are starting a project which is across geographies. You need certain things to be delivered. You're in a manufacturing unit and you need certain raw materials to be delivered. So then your stakeholders can also include the logistics team who helps you, the 3PL company who helps you. Have the stakeholder representation also in your kickoff. In an IT project, suppose you have to travel during you at your things, make sure your facilities team is there, your travel desk is there during the kickoff, so that they can help you plan better. Your HR should be there. Your IT professional should be there. IT team should be there. You need an extra laptop, or probably you need a special VPN connection. Make sure in the kickoff meeting they're there. They know that this is something that might come to them, rather than you running from pillar to post to get one VPN connection done because UAT is starting from tomorrow. So the pain today becomes a pleasure tomorrow. So make sure you plan for the kickoff meeting in the right way. Team meetings, very important. Let the team know you had a hard review session with your customer where strong feedback was shared. Come and share that a strong feedback was shared. Probably don't share if it's an individualistic strong feedback shared. Tweak it in a way, but at least share that, yes, customer had shared some strong feedback and we need to work out on this, right? Because team work is important for change management. We saw it ahead, right? So then some of us as program managers and project managers are also responsible for the cost, the revenue, the cost margins, the profit and loss statements, which is margins, right? So then that also you should spend time in planning. So you should be ready with the projections. And then you yourself should go and see, okay, has this changed? What was projected? And what is happening right now? And share that. So this has to be part of your plan, right? So that's why cost and margin projections are important. Now, again, not just projections, also informing about those things, right? Because you are the one who is at the ground level. You'll know that, okay, my cost will increase during UAT because we are seeing too many defects. My shop floor, one of the machines, throughput has decreased because maintenance time is nearing. So then I need to tweak certain things. I need to bring in more manual labors to do some assembling. Cost is changing. When you're reviewing the change, when you're mitigating the change, inform about this change, right? Resource management. Now, resource management can bring change management, which is short term, which is long term, which is periodic. Now, as a short examples would be viral fever, your architect is not available for the 4 days. That's short term change management. Long term change management, you have a member who has some family emergency and will not be there for 15-20 days. That's a long term change management you have to manage. Periodic change management, festival vacation. Right now, Thanksgiving weekend is there. So people have taken long weekends in the US. So you have to mitigate that periodic change that your US team will be thin during this time. And Thanksgiving holidays and all festival holidays are known from the beginning of the year. So that mitigation you can do anyways, right? So periodic change management can be done proactively. Short-term change management of resources has to be mitigated as a reactive way, and so on and so forth. Now, this I'm talking when I'm on the day execution of the project. However, when it is resource management, you are a very key factor because resource management is nothing but human management. So you have to be very aware. And resource management also consists of the aspect of whether your team members are happy, engaged, working, equipped with the expertise they need to work on this project. Hence, RAG analysis, red, amber, green analysis of your resources by you and probably your management is important. Because if resources are not there, project will not work. If people are not there, nothing will work. So team is the key. This pillar is most important. Plan for resource planning. You cannot say, no, you cannot take holidays. Plan for it. Plan for a rotation. Also, effectively, most important, which we don't do, is managing the resources development. We all set up goals for them. We all do appraisals. But do we really make goals to improve them? We just give goals which are related to the work done. And if they have done it, if they are doing good, the project is doing good. If the customer is giving feedback, fine, you are a superstar. Otherwise, no. It doesn't work that way. For example, personal development goals, quantify it correctly. I'll give you a simple example. For personal development, I will do 5 trainings in the whole year. Fine. I agree to it that you will do 5 trainings during the year, but that is on target, right? But if that person does 6 trainings plus a certification, and he writes that okay, above 5, if I do 6 and a certification, I agree that I am doing commendable job. So on target, commendable. Third definition that should be of the goal is, hey, I have done 8 trainings, 6 certifications, and I've also groomed freshers. That's superlative. So commendable and stellar. That's the perfect 5. So mark these so that there is nothing emotional when you're doing the appraisals. Create smart goals. So that is also part of resource management, and you have to spend time to define those goals with them, because they are signing on that I think this is a 3, this is a 4, this is a 5, and below 3 anything is I am not up to the mark. So that resource management is important. Next, I think risk analysis. We all know it is important. It is important to the hilt. And I have been sharing about risk analysis throughout this session. So review the risk, prioritize the risk, and report the risks is important. Invoicing, if you have to do it. One important thing you also have to remember, you have invoiced as a project manager, but there's a second part of it. The customer needs to pay back. And sometimes the customer pays it based on the payment conditions, payment terms that is again obtained from the SOW or the contract. So they may not pay it immediately. They will take 2 or 3 months. So make sure at the end of 3 months, you at least go and check with the respective team who is responsible to do the feedback that, hey, did they pay back? That is also you trying to control change. If they don't pay back, your revenue will go down here at the end of the quarter, right? So it's better to know that your AR, your accounts receivable is coming back to you. It's not your responsibility, but you knowing this helps you. This is your strategy. This is your vision of change management, right? Miscellaneous tasks. How do you encourage utilization? How do you bring in productivity? Help your team, motivate your team to create automations. These are the miscellaneous things. These are the extra individualistic project management work that each one of us do. It's different for each one of us, right? Audits, ROI, these are miscellaneous, right? Now, I will also quickly share. I told you, right? Reporting is key, and you need to create a scalable, customized, easy template which can be reused everywhere. Again, I will share something that we have been using as a team, and this particular one, what I think can be used in any kind of project. It can be used in a manufacturing project. It can be used in development, version upgrades, product development, product management, maintenance, uh, general staffing, staff augmentation, anything. So prepare a template like this. This is where your work of reporting is halved when you have a generalized template. Only the data needs to change depending on the stakeholders. Now, what is it? It's a simple thing. You name the stakeholders. You have certain important documents that needs to be checked, right? So for example, project name. And most importantly, this particular visual aid makes any stakeholder know in one shot that, okay, my project is okay, my project is either in amber, that means we have to be cautious about a few things, and red means everybody should start jumping. So your work is halved just by this small section here. And when you put it as amber, you take them to these issues and risks. Amber means you see certain risks which needs to be mitigated. Give the key updates, right? And this update will change. If this is internal stakeholders, it will have some detailed updates about something else. If it is customers, it will be something different because they expect something different. So this is how, this is a one slider view of your whole project on a particular week or a month or a quarter, depending on when you're doing it, right? Keep action points of the previous meeting so that we know how we have been doing, right? The other aspect of any reporting, I told you, right? Resource rag status, maintain it, share it with customers, have it with them, right? These are the terms that you should agree with. These are the measuring characteristics. So there are two aspects of it. One is the priority and one is the criticality of the resource. Criticality of the resource, he or she has a unique capability, which is not there with everyone, right? What would you do? Priority, he or she is part of the UAT. Now the BA, if not available during UAT, it's a big problem. So then that's the business priority, right? Mapped on this, you create, then we say whether that person is going to leave or not, or whatever you choose. And discuss on what should be red, amber, green, and you should review this always. The last one, risk. Risk should also be shared, communicated, be open with it. It is natural to have risks. If you don't have risks, that means something is gravely wrong in your program. Thank you. With that, I would like to give the control back to Priyanka.
Thank you, Sanjukta. Thank you very much for such a wonderful session. It was really insightful. I hope we are able to implement all the learnings in our professional and personal lives as well. Please share my screen. Okay, I hope my screen, yes, is visible. So we now present you this certificate as a token of our appreciation, Sanjukta.
Thank you so
You
much,
would be,
Priyanka.
yeah, you would be receiving this in your email as well. So, thank you. Thank you very much.